Howdy partners, it's so good to be here yet again. I just came back from the cinema after seeing The Instigators, and admittedly this is a film that I had no idea was coming out. I literally learned about it like 2-3 days ago, and this is a film that is coming out on Apple TV Plus roughly a week from now, so the weekend of August 8th or 9th. No matter, I'm not subscribed to that service, and I don't plan on being too, so I thought I'd check it out in theaters while it does have this limited release window. And going into this film, I literally had no idea what to expect other than this being a Boston crime heist drama, so that on its own is interesting. And of course, we have two Boston stars cast in the leading role with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, so that's another reason to get excited. But then further, I learned that Casey Affleck also co-wrote the screenplay with Chuck McLean, who, if I'm not mistaken, this is his first feature film that he's worked on. But in any case, I literally had no idea what to expect, and my expectations were quite low. I thought that this should be an amusing film, and I gotta say, guys, I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I would have. So as I alluded to previously, this is a heist story, though definitely much more on the comedy side. This is quite absurd. This is not a film you gotta take too seriously. You just enjoy the ride. Literally, in some cases, there's more than one super engaging car chase that is featured in the film, but I'm getting ahead of myself. To pull off this heist, we got these two jokers over here, Matt Damon being this retired army veteran who is a little bit down on his luck, and then we got Casey Affleck on the other side, who's this ex-con and has a bit of a boisterous personality. This dude literally has a sassy remark on everything that is said inside this film, and it drives people up the wall for good reason, mind you. If there's a bad moment to crack a joke, this guy's gonna do it. Right from the start of the film, you can tell that these aren't exactly A-tier candidates to pull off a heist job, and even the mob boss himself is thinking to himself like, holy shit, I went my whole life in this crime shindig thing, and at the tail end of my career, I got these two jokers over here to contend with. Are you kidding me? So yeah, even without having seen the trailer, which of course that spoils all too much as always, you can pretty much figure out that this heist job is not going to go according to plan. And boy oh boy, this is basically just one clusterfuck sequence of events, one after another, and it features quite a lot of profane language, as of course you would expect in this kind of Boston crime drama. And I must say, it is surprisingly hilarious. Most of us in the theater were laughing out loud throughout most of the film. It really helps when you have such a great duo lead to just get all that energy moving forward. Matt Damon and Casey Affleck play expertly off each other. Of course they do, they're seasoned veteran actors, and it is a true joy to see them wreak havoc on screen. But a surprise highlight performance for me was Chow, who surprisingly compliments them with a very different tone, of course. She's Matt Damon's shrink psychiatrist in the film, and she has a very stoic-like energy. But nonetheless, they form a very interesting dynamic trio at one point in the film. But no, Chow is not the only surprise performance. There's actually quite a gigantic star-studded cast over here, and they're all a boatload of fun. Though I will say most of them, if not all of them, aren't all that deep, unfortunately. In fact, it's not even a question of depth, but also just in terms of screen time, there's not too much meat on the bones. The film itself is relatively short, coming in around an hour 40 minutes in length, but for any lack of depth and length that they may have, they more than make up for quite a lot of charisma, and you can tell that everyone is having so much fun over here. To briefly go over some of the casting over here, we got, of course, Matt Damon, Casey Affleck, and Chow, as I mentioned, but then there's Michael Stuhlbarg, Paul Walter Hauser, Ving Rhames, Alfred Molina, Toby Jones, Ron Perlman, and the most surprising one, Jack Harlow. What? I didn't see that one coming, but I was very much amused. And I think his fans will get quite a kick out of his performance over here. Let's just say he's not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. But as much fun as this film is, I do think it has quite a few shortcomings. Most notably, perhaps, I do think that there are at least 2 moments in the film where things come down to a screeching halt, and the film begins to meander a little bit, and its slapstick humor starts to get a little bit on the awkward side. Doesn't exactly do itself any service in a few of these moments. And then, as absurd as the film is, it works for the most part, but there is one gigantic lapse of logic, which is, I don't want to go too much in spoiler territory, but it is linked to Chow's character in the final arc of the film. That part I felt would never happen in real life, and it kind of broke my immersion. Does this flaw break the camel's back? No, of course not, but I do think, in the spirit of constructive criticism, it is worth bringing up. And once again, I am not hating on her acting skills or on her character, generally speaking, but that one moment definitely goes in the red zone of the absurdity, where it just defies logic. The rest of the film, as crazy as it is, still has a layer of grounding that, as dumb as these characters may be, I could still somehow envision this happening in the real world. No matter, I digress. Overall, I had so much fun watching this film, and I laughed plenty. The chemistry of the ensemble cast was a joy to behold. You could tell they were having a lot of fun, and they perfectly complement the chaos and the madness of this heist that was doomed to fail from the very start. So in my books, I think this is at least a 7 out of 10, and I think I'm even willing to bump it to an 8 out of 10. Before starting this review, I noticed that critics were totally lambasting this film, which doesn't exactly surprise me, but you know what, every now and then I need a break from art house films and just turn off my brain and just enjoy this kind of absurdity. As far as those films go, I think this is pretty great actually. And without going into spoilers, but I feel like me living in Montreal, I just have to comment on this because yes, this film pokes quite a few jokes at Montreal, my very own hometown, and us in the theater at first, I think we're all kind of like, fuck you motherfucker for making fun of our hometown, but by the end of the film, we were all in stitches. In the grand scheme of things, it is perhaps rather inconsequential, but it did tickle my sense of humor. It was also a nice moment of synchronicity in my life. So it is a very nice cherry on top of this heist cake. So with all that being said, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.